Magic appearance. In the early days of mobile phones, around about the mid-90s, I had a state-of-the-art mobile in a car kit. I was a one-man band. I fixed computers, programmed them, built new computers, all by myself. When I had to go somewhere, I would redirect my office phone to my mobile. So I'm driving along the road and I pass one of my most annoying customers. I'm a great believer in killing them with kindness. So when the phone rang and it was the customer I had just passed, I turned around and headed back his way. I pulled up out front, listening to his tale of what was wrong, and as I was about to get out of my car and walk up to his front door, I said, "How soon do you want me there?" He replied, "As soon as possible." And I opened the door as I hung up the phone and called out to him, "Is this soon enough?" He was in his office and his jaw dropped open and he just gaped at me. After I'd fixed his problem, which was an easy fix, he shook his head and said, "How did you do that?" "Magic," I replied. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Storytime with Uncle Jon. Today we're taking a look at r/tales from tech support. And a little disclaimer before I get started. I got a comment from somebody on last Saturday's video that I did here at the bridge saying, "Oh, I just about get into the stories and then you start going on tirades of things that are totally unconnected from the stories." Well, yeah, are you new here? First of all, it's my channel. Second of all, most of you guys don't seem to mind. I've kind of been that way the whole way through. I did curb it a little better in the beginning, but I'm kind of letting the chatty Cathy flag fly. I mean, I do like to talk, usually not in public to people directly, but on camera, you guys are cool. And oh, by the way, most of my tirades are somewhat connected. They may go off a little bit and then I rein them back in, but they really are sort of connected if you really listen. I'm sorry if you don't like me running my mouth. So, disclaimer, if you don't like people commenting and telling their stories in between the stories that I'm reading, because it's not just about the Reddit stories, then sorry, this may not be the channel for you. You're not going to break my heart, hurt my feelings, or anything else. Well, maybe a little. But, if that's not your thing, if you just want people to just read the stories, and oh, by the way, most of those are robots, with very few exceptions, then by all means, be my guest. In fact, I've got a couple links down in the description box to some of my favorite channels of people who tend to read the stories and give less commentary. So go ahead and click one of them. That's all. It's all good. We're one big happy running our mouth family here. So anyway, back again today. It's Wednesday for me. You guys probably won't see this till Thursday morning sometime if you're in the U.S. I'm back at the bridge house and not a boat to be seen on the river. Not north, not south. It's quiet. It's been a little overcast. Maybe had a few sprinkles today, but nothing major. So, I mean, I know a lot of people around here are working folks. So, they don't all have time to get on their boats and just do whatever they want, fish or go to the, dockside bar over here or whatever. So, but I would have thought there'd be at least one or two diehard fishermen out here today. And it's quiet. In fact, the only time I opened the bridge so far on this shift was just to test it. You got to exercise the bridge a couple times every shift just to make sure everything stays functioning the way it should. But oh well. But at least I get to spend time with you guys. Anyway, on to the next story. I need to do an official disclaimer that plays at the beginning of the videos. That way people know. Not necessarily IT, but close enough. This is back from 2007 or 2008. I'm working at a control center where we are the middleman selling satellite bandwidth to customers. About 60% of it was to the cruise industry, who weren't competent enough to have someone on board who knew how to use the equipment. The other 35% was yacht for rich people. And the remaining customer base was miscellaneous. Well, one of these miscellaneous customers was the captain of a casino boat. Normally, satellite footprints are quite large, but if you're at the very edge of them, it becomes harder to close the link. This guy was drifting out of his normal footprint and needed to change footprints. Something he should not normally have to do, but for some reason they were too far out and needed to switch. I say, "Hello, company name, how can I help you?" Captain says, "Yeah, this shit's not working again." I say, "Okay, let me look at it, sir." I'm able to get some connectivity, but it's intermittent. But the modem would report their last latitude and longitude, and I could compare it to the coverage maps. "Okay, sir, seems like you're near the edge of the XX footprint. I need you to load this option file." A file that tells the modem and antenna where to point and what frequency to look for. Captain says, "Where do I find that?" I say, "You should be able to find that in the folder on your desktop." Captain says, "Okay, let me look." 5 minutes later, after hearing a lot of commotion, "I can't find it. I looked everywhere. I cleared off my desk." I say, "No, sir. It should be on your desktop." Captain says, "It's not. I threw everything off my desk." Me realizing that he actually cleared off his desk. "Okay, sir, can you minimize your current modem status page on your computer?" Captain says, "Okay, now what?" "Is there a folder named OPT files?" Captain says, "Yes." I then gave him directions on how to load that file onto the modem, and his services were restored. What should have been a 5-minute call turned out to be 45 minutes. I could just picture this captain now. A old salty sea captain, probably, who used to be, run waterman boats like fishing boats, clamming boats, things like that. And now he's running a casino boat because, why not? And it's just totally clearing his desk off. Oh, dear God. Charts and notepads flying everywhere. I've never dealt with satellite before, as far as internet goes. I've heard some good things and some bad things about it. Now, I'm not talking like fancier satellite things. I'm talking like, Dish or one of those. I've heard people say, if it even looks like it's going to rain, you could get intermittent signals. I know with my mom's TV service, when she's down in Florida, things get a little weird when it rains, when the wind blows wrong. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I may possibly be needing some kind of service that doesn't run on cell like I'm using right now. Most of the time, I'm plenty close enough to a cell tower to get service on this and run mostly high speed. It's nothing like my gigabit internet service at home, but I kind of need something that's in between the two for if I have to relocate. So if you got any suggestions, let me know. When a problem is a priority for the customer, but not enough to assign a capable IT person to it. So, my company made a hardware revision to one of our products. Unfortunately, that revision revealed a nasty bug in the embedded software for the device. Let's just say a handful of units shipped in a state where they won't connect to a network after being left on for more than 5 minutes. It took a few returned units to our reliability engineer, but we found the root cause. The fix was a less than 500 kilobyte firmware update, easy peasy to upgrade. So I get roped into an escalation call. I get called in, managers above my pay grade are called in. This is a 5-alarm fire to a bunch of non technical people. Customer is fuming they have a bunch of these devices that don't work. I'm in this call for less than 2 minutes and say, "What firmware are these units on?" Customer comes back with the older version with this bug. I say, "We fixed this in the latest firmware upgrade. I apologize, my field tech didn't catch this when they did your implementation. Let me get that firmware file to you with the instructions on how to install it." Noting to myself later on that I need to lecture my team again to always upgrade the firmware. Customer successfully gets 8 out of the 9 affected devices upgraded. Number 7 is giving us a little difficulty. The IT person assigned to this task couldn't connect to the web UI to complete the upgrade. It happens. Sometimes the IP address isn't what we think it is, and the customer opted for DHCP with no reservation. I told them to just reset the device to factory defaults using the reset button. I provided the default static IP that comes up after reset. I then get an email from the IT person doing this project. I can't connect to the default IP either. Since this is a customer acting as remote hands for me, I make sure I'm dealing with someone that can at least spell TCP/IP. Are you on the same layer 2 network as the device and assign an address on your PC that's in the same subnet as the device? Customer comes back that they are remoted into their laptop. Huh? Which should be on that network. Then proceeds to whinge about the other stations working fine. Great. I got the intern. I explain why they could get the others, but not this one that we've reset to factory defaults. Then I can't do it. I further explain that someone will physically need to be at the location to connect to that device to bring it back online. Could our product team have made DHCP as a default? Yes, but I'll tell you why a static default IP is easier. When I have 30 plus of these devices that need configuration, usually a simple set it once and never touch it again, it's more convenient for me to just patch straight in with my laptop and just keep the same IP address in my browser window. The web UI does firmware upgrades and configures the device along with assigning it to the customer. Once they're set up, they rarely get touched again until something mechanically breaks down. At this point, I'm ready to tell the project manager to just send the customer another unit. I have 20 people I have to ride herd on, and I don't have time to train customer interns. It's a shame, really. I understand sort of both positions here. There are some companies that won't have a true on-site IT team. Sorry, I keep drifting off camera because I'm looking at a river. It's beautiful. There's sailboats docked over here. The water's flowing. We're just about at the end of high tide, so the current should start going out here any minute. So it's kind of cool watching the catfish jumping around and stuff like that. Anyway, so a lot of companies, smaller companies or medium companies, don't have true on-site IT people. They tend to rope in whoever they can get that's their smartest or best computer person, their best technical person, which a lot of times isn't very technical at all, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if you're having them trained by somebody and can, have them focus on things like that, and then maybe turn into your on-site IT. But to expect the company that's supplying your hardware, software, whatever, to constantly hold hands and walk these people through every little issue is just, it's out of the scope and it's ridiculous. The only fix for that is to start charging by the hour for things like that. If it's supposed to be a 5-minute call and you want to give them an extra 5 minutes just to help them get over the hump, fine. If it's going to require, 30, 45 minutes, an hour, you're losing money at that point. Is this customer really worth it?
How about no, you crazy Dutch bastard?
Don't worry, we're fixing it. We'll bother you only if we absolutely have to. About 4 months ago, I built a report generation process for one of our teams here. They had a process of informal copying and pasting data from a few sources and then used some ad hoc pivot tables combined with manually aggregating the data. They did this every month. It took 2 weeks each time. That's absurd. So I built something for them that auto pulls from the data sources, generates some standardized reports, creates a relational database from those reports, and then generates a massive table at the end that users can query at their own whim. Team members have to prod it at 2 spots to configure some filters according to the current whims of the business, but the routine takes about 10 minutes. It worked great, and they were thrilled with the result. At the end of this, I asked them to please call me if they wanted any changes. Like anything I make, it's built with fairly common tools we use in the business. They could make changes, but they seem to lack the necessary expertise. They would just muck it up probably. I was very polite but direct. Please let me make any changes. I'm happy to do so. Anywho, I got a call last week. One of the team members told me that the query results were nonsensical. They were filled with errors or just random gibberish. They asked a couple basic questions. Then they assured me that they were working on it and the team would only pull me in if necessary. Oh, no, 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 no. But it's probably too late now. They did eventually pull me in. A discussion with the team revealed what happened. Someone on the team had made a change to one of the input tables. I had set up the process to automatically accommodate some changes, but not the structural changes they made. Someone else on the team saw an error in the report, so they made a couple changes to the report generation process to compensate. And then someone else saw errors in the resulting table, so they made changes there to compensate. Then they started talking amongst themselves and began trying to fix it all, which failed, resulting in more grubby hands poking here and there. The result is a haphazard mess. I started this afternoon carefully backing out every change they made, working backwards, but based upon what I'm seeing, I'll probably just revert everything to my last edit, eliminating everything they did. None of it had any value. They must have spent hours trying to fix this, at least. I could have made whatever changes they wanted probably in 10 to 15 minutes. Now I'm going to have to carefully message back to them how I repaired this. I need to strike the appropriate level of frustration so they hopefully take me seriously, while I also avoid making them feel stupid. I don't want them complaining to their manager. And I'll again ask them to please contact me if they want any changes. Please contact me. It's no trouble at all. Believe me. Update. It turned out the original error was because one particular field and one particular record had a few dozen paragraphs full of extraneous HTML formatted text. Once I backed out all their changes and they pruned that one field, everything went back to working flawlessly as it did before. I also offer to explain to my eager beaver end user how to modify aspects themselves. She hasn't accepted yet, but I think she soon will. Again, having your smartest tech people or, some just out of college computer whiz, what you think is a computer whiz, working on changing things is just a bad idea. The worst part about this is the company probably didn't have these people making the changes themselves. They probably took it upon themselves thinking that, the company wasn't going to support them the way they said they were. Which I don't know why people would say it if they didn't mean it, but whatever. So, they just start making changes, and I sort of get it. There's things that I don't want to bother the company or a certain tech about, and I'll make changes myself if I think I can do it. The problem is sometimes you think you can do it, and you really can't. I've had customers do that with carpentry projects. I helped with an addition once, and we put standard doors in from the addition into the regular part of the older part of the house. That's what the plans called for. That's what the customer paid for. That's what they got. Everything was perfectly fine. About a month and a half, 2 months later, the customer decided, or the customer's wife decided, that she wanted a pocket door there instead of a regular swinging door. Pocket door is one where there's like a little channel in the wall and your door slides into the wall, disappears. And this guy took it upon himself to do it. You have to cut drywall out, and I guess he was handy enough with tools. He had to cut drywall out, put the kit in with the little slats that hold your drywall up and, provides the channel for your pocket door to slide into. Put the track up and everything, put the drywall back. He paid somebody else to do the drywall finishing, which is a smart move, and I should have done that years ago because I suck at taping drywall. But anyway, everything was said and done. I guess they didn't try the door after it was installed to make sure that everything was good. Like at each step of everything I do around those doors, I check everything just to make sure. Well, everything got done, everything got painted. This was a stained door, so it didn't need paint. And this guy, his wife, he says, I want you to be the first one to try your new pocket door. His wife walked up. There's a little latch you push with your finger that flips out a hook. You can grab it with your finger and pull the door across. She grabbed that thing and snatched it as hard as she could. And as soon as the door got to, almost closed, they both noticed the big, giant scars across the door at about 16-inch intervals all the way down the door. Well, the slats that hold your drywall up are only about 3/4 of an inch thick, if that. Sometimes they're even a little bit thinner, 5/8 to 3/4, with, a metal brace with a little bit of, particle board or whatever inside it, the channel, the cavity. And that's what you screw your drywall to. Well, you're supposed to use short drywall screws for this. Very short. Because if you don't, guess what? Your screw sticks through, and when you go to close your door, the tip of that screw is dragging all along that pretty wooden stained door. So, something he should have called us to do. I know he didn't want to lay out extra money, and, he was trying to be handy and do something nice for his wife, but, yeah, it ended up costing him a lot in the end. Now, see, that story was connected, wasn't it? I don't know. I think it was. An end user reported their computer was slow. We figured out why very quickly. End user puts in a ticket that their computer's slow. My coworker remotes in and checks things out. Turns out they're having significant packet loss on their network. The user interrupts to say, I need to take my dog out. This hurricane's about to hit. We find out that they live in a coastal town just north of Tampa, which is under mandatory evacuation, and looking at anywhere... Another big truck. I hate it when it shakes this place. Found out they live in a coastal town just north of Tampa, which is under mandatory evacuation, and looking at anywhere from 8 to 12 feet of storm surge. So this person is ignoring a mandatory evacuation and working in a hurricane and asking why their computer is slow. We told them we'd touch base again after the hurricane has passed. It's funny, even with hardwired things, I don't think people realize just how much wind will affect any wires above ground. Minor flooding will affect a lot of connections of wires underground. No matter how well you do your drainage and stuff, you can't really... There's not much that you can actually hurricane-proof. Red light flashing on desktop. It's panic time. So I get called out because there's a red light flashing on this desktop Windows PC. It's not the usual Dell, some kind of custom build from a local place. So the customer's like, why is it flashing so much? I'm like, did you ask the people who made the PC? Is there a manual? Nope. So clearly it's an HD monitor type LCD, and I go to the root drive and search for chicken, and show her that when I hit search, the light starts flashing like a mofo. And when I stop the search, it also stops mostly. She's like, it used to be green. So I open the case and look. No way it was ever green. So I put a bit of duct tape over it and test her system. It's fine. No overheating, no issues, and uninstall the latest MSBS from a recent upgrade. I'm like, this PC's fine. She was happy enough that I got a rack of lamb ribs, she's a rancher, and some muffins and fresh corn along with my usual fee. But holy crap, lady, it's okay. Quit freaking out. I have to say, with my wife, now this isn't necessarily just a woman thing, but it's what I associate as a woman thing in my head because it's mostly my wife that's given me the issues over the years. So there's probably some less than tech savvy guys out there that react the same way when things look different or it throws you off, catches you off guard. And, lights on machines tend to be one of those things. They either totally ignore them and don't notice them at all, or they notice one and it's doing something that they perceive as different, and they totally lose their crap. Just gotta not panic. There's no reason to panic. I'll make my own help desk, with blackjack and hookers. Okay, bit of background. We moved from an MSP-managed service desk to our own in-house service last year. As part of that, we created our own fresh service instant for ticket logging and self-service requests. The URL was set as https blah 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 company name, freshservice.com, and was widely advertised out to all users. So far so good. Had a few users who didn't get the memo and kept trying to access our MSP's old service now link, but by and large, at least knew to contact us when the link didn't work. 3 days ago, our IT director gets an email saying that he had been set up with a new Fresh Service account and had to create a new password for it. He's immediately suspicious as he's obviously one of the first to get an account set up on our instance, and the URL is for https blah 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 company name helpdesk.freshservice.com. Immediately, the alarm bells start ringing. Is this a phishing attempt? Is the email genuine? How many of our users have gotten this email? How many tried logging into provided URL and potentially compromised their accounts? So myself and the cybersecurity team immediately start looking into it. My first step is to check the mail logs to see who else got a notification like the one the director got. Found 5 similar emails and the one that fortunately led us to the culprit. This is where we find out what actually happened. One of our users tried to log a support ticket through our old MSP portal and got the access denied error. Asked the manager what was happening and was told, "Oh, the IT help desk has a new portal. It's on something called Fresh Service." Said user tries to access https:// blah 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 helpdesk.freshservice.com, which obviously isn't found. So instead of asking for the URL, which is plastered all over the company homepage, posters in offices, and on their friggin' mouse mats, he goes to Fresh Service, signs up for a trial instance, logs a ticket in his new instance, CCing in several other members of the company and the IT director, which triggered the "please create an account" emails they all got. Holy crap. Why would you guess at a URL? Well, I guess the one that created the issue didn't guess. Somebody told him the wrong information, I guess, and I don't know. It sounds like you guys sent out a memo about all this, and I'm not sure why everybody doesn't read their friggin' memos. And if you get a service denied error or whatever, access denied, then if one person doesn't give you a good answer, if they start saying things like, "Well, it's something like this," then maybe you should ask somebody else because they didn't give you a definite answer of "it's definitely this." I don't know. I'm still not sure why you would go to the Fresh Service site and sign up for a new trial account or whatever and then try to go from there to create a ticket, because you have to have the account first before you can create the ticket. So I don't know. Anyway, speaking of fresh, you know what makes me feel really fresh every day? A nice hot shower. What goes best with a nice hot shower? A soap that smells something like you want to smell. Not a soap that smells like whatever some corporate bigwig decided it was going to smell like. And we make soap. I don't know if you knew that. Most of you probably do by now if you're regular here. But, we make handmade, mostly natural soaps. And you get to choose from like 25 different scents. At least 20. I don't know. It comes and goes depending on seasons. Like our pumpkin spice scent is back. And before you laugh, basic white chick, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It smells way better than it sounds. It smells pretty much edible. Don't eat the soap. And we have other scents like our flagship scent, which is pipe smoke. The name's a little bit of a misnomer. It doesn't smell smoky, really. It smells like a fresh, like caramelized, like pipe tobacco with a little cherry pipe tobacco mixed in. It's a really nice blend. And I got to tell you, we actually have a lot of women that prefer this bath soap scent over almost all the others. It's amazing. It's hard to describe. Like I said, think of a decanter, one of the glass decanters. I call it a decanter anyway. Humidor with the fresh, custom pipe tobacco blends in it. Not the stuff you get in the pouch from the store. It's a sweet aroma, but it also has a little bit of that pipe tobacco scent to it. So anyway, if you're looking for something different for your shower time, do me a favor. Check out our website down below. See what kind of scent you like. Load up your cart. See what it's going to cost to ship it to you. Check out the website. We've got bath soaps, shave soap, beard products, balms and oils to keep it from drying out and getting all knotty. See what tickles your fancy, and if you place an order, we'd much appreciate it. Till the next video, we'll see you.